Rounding, come out and play. Hey everyone, welcome back to week 2 of math. I'm excited. I don't know if you're excited, but I'm excited. Last week we learned about rounding to the nearest 10, and this week we are going to round to the nearest 100. Our focus for this week: I can round to the nearest 100. Miss Reed has also written down the standard, so your I can statement for this week is going to be rounding to the nearest 100 for all of our lessons for Monday through Friday. We also learned a couple of words last week, a couple of math vocabulary words, and I want to go over them again with you. First name, benchmark. Benchmark are numbers. Any type of number is called a benchmark. Midpoint. The midpoint is the number that goes in the middle of the number line. Number line. All the numbers that go on the number line. Rounding. Rounding is our focus, and we're either going to round to the nearest 10 or the nearest 100, but you know our focus this week is rounding to the nearest 100. And the word that I want to show you for this week is estimate. Estimate is the same thing as rounding. Rounding is the same thing as estimating. So if our focus this week is rounding to the nearest 100, we're going to estimate, or we're going to round. What is it closer to? 100 or 200, 200, 300, and so on. Next, you're going to watch a video on rounding. It's actually a song video, so I hope you enjoy. Pay attention and join in. It's time. It's time. It's time for a rounding song. It's time. It's time. It's time for a rounding song. Rounding, 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 I go. Rounding, 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 I go. Rounding, 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 I go. You can show any number on a what? Number line. You can show any number on a what? Number line. Numbers to the right are always bigger. Numbers to the left are always smaller. Numbers to the right are always bigger. Numbers to the left are always smaller. Rounding, 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 I go. Rounding, 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 I go. What's the number in the middle called? Midpoint. What's the number in the middle called? Midpoint. Rounding, 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 I go. Rounding, 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 I go. What's when the number to the right is 5 or more? What do? Round up. When the numbers to the right are 5 or more, what do? Round up. When the number to the left is 4 or less, what do? Round down. When the number to the left is 4 or less, what do? Round down. Rounding, 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 I go. Everybody, rounding, 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 I go. Rounding, 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 I go. Welcome back. I hope you really enjoyed my video and my dance moves. But now let's come back to rounding to the nearest hundreds. So you always know that we love when you take notes. So taking notes on what I'm sharing about rounding might really help you for answering the questions for this week. First, rounding to the nearest hundred. Numbers greater than 5. They always include 5, 6, 7, 8. So if you were listening to my song and doing the moves, you know that you have to round up. Numbers less than 5, you always what? Round down. A. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. any of those numbers, you round down. Ashe? Excellent. So now I want to go over 3 problems, and I'm going to do these problems, and then the next problems you're going to do on your own. However, I'm still going to give you the answers for that. Ashe? Ashe. Great. So our first number that we have, and don't forget, for these problems, we're rounding to the nearest 100. So we're looking at 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, or 900. We're going to probably stop there. For number 1, we have 236. The first thing that I want you to do is to underline the number in the hundreds place. That would be the 2. So our first thing that we're going to do, we're going to underline the number in the hundreds place, which is 2. You're going to look to the right of the 2 and look at the number in the 3 place. You're going to circle that number. You want to know, is the 3 greater than or less than the 2, the 3? So if you go back here to our notes, if it's greater than 5, 6, 7, or 8, you round up. If it's less than 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, you round down. So for this one, the 3 is lower than 5, so I'm going to keep this number the same. So my answer is going to be 200. For number 2, 478. The first thing I'm going to do is underline the 4, look to the right, do my arrow, circle the 7. So I want to know once again, is the 7 greater than 5 or is it lower than 5? So I will go back and look at my notes. It's greater than 5. So do I keep it the same or do I round up? For this one, I have to round up. So now the 4 becomes a 5. 500. Don't get this confused with rounding to the nearest 10. Ashe? Ashe. Good job, guys. Proud of you. For the next one I'm going to help you with, number 3, 825. I'm going to underline the 8. I'm going to look to the right of the 8. I'm going to circle the 2. I want to know, is the 2 greater than or lower than, less than 5? Once again, I'm going to look over here. The 2 is less than 5. So what happens to this 8? Does the 8 stay the same or do you round up? It stays the same. So my answer is 800. Thumbs up, thumbs up. So you try on your own the next 4 problems. You're going to round to the nearest 100. So what I would want you to do right now is to put the video on pause. Everyone put it on pause at the same time. I know you can do it. And you're going to answer these 3 questions. And while you're answering and have it on pause, I'm going to answer them for you. Perfect. So by this time, you should have been able to answer all of your questions. 537, I looked to the right of the 5. The 3 was lower than 5, so I kept the 5 the same. That's how I was able to get 500. 281, I looked to the right of the 2 in the hundreds place. And at 8 is greater than 5, so I had to round the 2 up to 300. For number 3, 613, I looked to the right of the 6. The 1 is lower than 5, so I kept the 6 the same. So that became 600. And number 4, 345, I looked at the 3, which is in the hundreds place. I looked to the right. The 4 is lower than 5, so I kept the 3 the same, 300. Hope you enjoyed this video. Miss Reed is going to leave an anchor chart at the end of the video if you want to take notes. Have a great day on purpose. Rounding, 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 I go. Rounding, 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 I go.